Integrity TO, the watcher who watches those who should be watched. Please welcome Daniel Tate to the show. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Hey, Ben.
The watcher.
He's the watcher.
Who's watching the watchdog?
Yeah, you are.
Me.
Yeah, and well, are you surprised that Olivia Chow is running for re-election? She announced it's the most poorly guarded secret, but she announced.
Yeah, worst kept secret.
Yeah.
I mean, the way she's been frolicking and prancing at TTC stations over the last few months with her little purple gang. I mean, the writing was obviously on the wall, but now it's official.
Well, let's listen to when she made it official.
This morning I registered to run for re-election, but that does not change what I do here as the mayor.
So she's running for re-election, and she says that she announced sort of like some of the things she's going to hang her hat on, because as mayor, she can say she's got some wins.
In 3 years, we've shown what's possible. We are building a more affordable and safer city by having school meals for children, by stopping or freezing the TTC transit fare, and by opening the library more hours, 7 days a week.
Daniel, I'm sure you've got some stuff to say about those wins.
Yeah, it's like, first off, it sounds like she's struggling to even list off her achievements.
Yeah.
And frankly, in a city of our scale and scope, the fourth biggest city of North America, if you're going to platform or campaign on extended library hours, come on, we can do much, much better.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But hold on a second, though. Remember that a dozen of those libraries are now addict treatment centers.
Yeah. I mean, they're
frontline treatment centers.
Yeah, that's
well, her accomplishments are inability to get snow or ice off our roads and sidewalks, proliferation of needles, meth pipes across our parks and transit system. Our transit system smelling bad with vagrants, homeless, drug addicts all over the place.
But she froze the transit fare.
Yeah.
Right. So, no, but she only froze the 47th fare.
Yeah.
Remember, you know her deal? It's the gimmick. You got to pay full fare on the 46th. The 47th is free. Like back in the day, you get 12 stamps and you get a free sub.
It starts paying for itself. No, you're absolutely right. After 3 years, you would expect, as the financial capital of the country, as the cultural capital of the country, you would expect, as mayor, I witnessed the greatest influx of foreign investment. In partnership with the feds and the province, I helped usher in an economic revival, the likes of which the city has not seen. But that's not what she said. She said she gave us breakfast for kids, which, as far as I'm concerned, is an acceptance of failure. If we're living in a world where parents can't feed their kids, and we're reliant on the city to do it, that's a failure. And the libraries and the subway. Okay.
Yeah, this is like lowered expectations here. If this is what our mayor has given us over the last 3.5 years, we can do better.
There's
anybody could do better.
There's a guy running for mayor named Braden Chow.
So there's going to be two Chows.
There's going to be two Chows. That could lead to confusion on the ballot.
Is there a guy out there named Oliver Chow? Maybe he has political aspirations.
My! Can you imagine that? That would be confusing.
Yeah.
Remember in Poilievre's riding, they put like 180 no names on the ballot.
Well, I mean, we'll have between 80 and 100 people on this ballot for sure, because a lot of people run.
Yeah,
a lot of people run.
And most of them don't register in terms of capturing people's opinion. But it does feel like there will be fewer people on the center right this time than last time.
Yeah, right now it seems like a 2-horse race.
Yeah.
Brad,
more or less. Yeah, more or less.
We'll see if there's like a Cinderella candidate that comes out of the woodwork. But right now, it's basically Brad versus Olivia.
Yeah,
it's basically the status quo versus a new reality.
And look, we got lots to talk about on the other side of this break. Bradford had a couple of pretty big endorsements with Lisa Raitt and Senator Grafstein. So you had a liberal and a conservative coming out in favor of him, which is kind of what you need if you are a center-right candidate in this city. Those are, I think, two big names that can help him. But when we come back, we got to talk about this drug toxicity crisis acknowledgement. I got to know what you know that we don't know yet, what you think about it. Because this is some grade A baloney, as Veronica Corningstone would say. Don't go anywhere. The Ben Mulroney Show continues. Much to discuss with our good friend Daniel Tate. I like to say, without him and without Integrity TO, there's a whole bunch of stories that would just fly under the radar, and the stuff that the progressive ideologues on city council, it would just go on. They just do it and nobody would notice. And thank God for Integrity TO, because they are paying attention to this nonsense. Now, you'll remember months ago, Councillor Chris Moyes, got to call him Councillor. Don't want to be called a racist. Councillor Chris Moyes called, as he tends to do with people who push back on him, called Daniel Tate a white supremacist, which he's done before, Daniel.
And racist.
And racist. And he called you this while you were asking him a pretty good question, a fair question about what
budget-related question.
Yeah. And he called you that. You brought this to the attention of the Integrity Commissioner, I think. And that person said that, the back and forth, the humming and the haw. But the end result was, yeah, he was in the wrong. And then the city decided city council decided not to punish him, because why should there be accountability for city councilors for
they decided to reject the report.
They didn't even read they didn't even accept it. But however, then he had the pesky problem of his legal bill, which was like $30,000, and the city decided to pay for half of it for his personal use of a lawyer, because of course the city is there as his piggy bank. And all I have to say is,
how dare you?
Yeah,
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you've done. Like, come on, city council. That you are the city council. The reason I love municipal politics is because it is the level of government that affects me the most in my day-to-day life. And if this is how they're affecting me, I feel like they're touching me inappropriately. I'm not lying. City council, I feel, I chose that.
You're being abused.
I am being abused. I think that the taxpayer is being abused. There is a level of molestation here. I'm doing this deliberately to be uncomfortable. And Karen Stintz, by the way, formerly of city council, I mean, she had something to say about this Chris Moyes legal fee nonsense.
For Rob Ford, there was like 1,000 little things that culminated into the gravy train that actually captured the public's attention to say there is something really, really wrong with City Hall. And if they pass this bill, I really hope this becomes that mark, that line in the sand where the public starts paying attention to what's going on down there, because there's something really wrong.
And so Daniel Tate, so that happens. And, a woman like Karen Stintz, I think she's a centrist, and she's,
rational person.
She's a rational person. I think she's right on that. And then it feels like City Hall, somebody at City Hall said, you know what? We're not done. We're not done showing Torontonians how untethered we are from the reality of their lives. That you uncovered that on top of the land acknowledgement, on top of the African ancestral acknowledgement, they've added a third acknowledgement that is just to show us that they are not living in our reality. Talk to me about the drug toxicity crisis acknowledgement.
Yeah, so the drug toxicity crisis acknowledgement is the third mandatory acknowledgement that is to be recited at many City Hall meetings now, on top of the land acknowledgement and the African ancestral acknowledgement. And this acknowledgement is about not that we have a drug crisis, but we have a drug toxicity crisis.
Yeah.
So, pure cut fentanyl is fine, but once it has, paint thinner or tranq in it, then we have a crisis.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you read the acknowledgement, the reason we have the drug toxicity crisis.
Let me read that. So the city of Toronto acknowledges the tragic and substantial losses that people continue to face due to the ongoing drug toxicity crisis. These losses and the grief experienced are immeasurable. We acknowledge that this crisis is rooted in systemic discrimination. People who use drugs often experience stigma with multiple intersecting forms of discrimination, including racism, sexism, and colonialism. I wish I could swear. There are so many words I would use.
They always use intersecting.
Yeah, no, yeah. But I wish I could swear now.
There's no white fent addicts outside right now at Queen and Bathurst or at Sherbourne and Dundas, and it's colonialism. That's the reason.
Daniel Tate, in your experience, how does something like this go from bad idea to bad execution? Like, how does this become a thing?
Well, because we have a culture of unbridled activism at City Hall that is tolerated and, in fact, promoted by city councilors, the mayor, and other top bureaucrats.
Yep.
And this is apparently allowed.
Yeah.
And we're paying for it, us, the taxpayer.
So
Read the last paragraph. You got to do it.
Many of us are mourning individually and collectively in this document we present data related to the crisis with respect to a heavy appreciation of what they mean and how they refer to our loved ones, friends, families, and colleagues.
Okay, so but get to the point. The real thing that really stands out in this whole thing is that it's the ongoing drug toxicity crisis.
Right,
It's not the drug crisis.
The drug crisis.
But this reminds me.
Read between the lines.
This reminds me of Karen Bass in L.A., who's in the fight of her life against Spencer Pratt, who's
Go Spencer.
Yeah, where she talks about how meth rots your teeth. And so what we really need to do is have free dental care for the meth addicts so that they can then live their lives. So it's not, the problem isn't the meth. Yeah. The problem is that the meth rots their teeth. And the problem here isn't the drugs, it's the toxicity in the drugs. It's the exact same.
You forgot the part that meth rots your brain.
Yeah.
Your cerebellum, your cerebral cortex.
No, but that's what this is. This is an attempt to do an end run around logic so that when ultimately people come, when they say, well, we're following the science, they're following the science of the drug toxicity crisis. They're preparing themselves. They're sowing confusion so that they can then win a fight based on misdirection and lies.
The prevailing philosophy of people who sort of echo these sentiments is they believe in their heart of hearts that drug use is fine and normal and drugs should be decriminalized and liberalized and we shouldn't be prosecuting drug dealers or drug users, especially when they are doing terrible things. That is the prevailing mindset.
Yeah.
And that's why they don't call it a drug crisis, even though that's what it is.
Yeah.
They call it a drug toxicity crisis.
Yeah, and then they blame colonialism and all these intersecting nonsense words. This is...
And why are we doing this in the first place?
So
forget the words. We need action. We need to get these people off the streets and into treatment and rehab and sometimes jail.
It is increasingly clear to me. I'm talking directly to the voter who intends to stay home. When somebody comes and knocks on your door and says, "I want your vote," next in October, you need to ask them, where do you land on the drug toxicity crisis acknowledgement? Do you believe that this is a representative of the crisis on our streets, or do you believe that it is bull? And if they tell you, no, that's the truth, then with all due respect, that person immediately, in my opinion, disqualifies themselves from ever holding office. They shouldn't be elected dog catcher, let alone have power over your life and my life. If this is how they see the problems on our streets, because this is them holding their hands up saying, I'm not responsible. I don't have blood on my hands. The issue isn't drugs. The issue is drug toxicity. If anyone comes to your door and asks for your vote, ask them where they stand on this acknowledgement. Do they think it's bull? Do they think it's BS? Or do they think that it is representative of reality? That one question alone should determine whether they have your vote or not. Because that one question alone, the answer on that will determine whether or not the war for the souls of our brothers and sisters who are grappling with drug addiction, whether or not we win it or not. This is, to me, it's black and white.
I think this is absolutely an election issue. Every informed voter should be asking every candidate who knocks on their door, asking for their vote, where do you stand on the drug crisis? Where do you stand on harm reduction? And if they give you any answer that is reminiscent of the status quo, which is basically hand out, more harm reduction, drug paraphernalia, and the problem is just drug toxicity, not drugs, don't vote for them.
Yeah.
Because we need a hardcore wholesale change.
Yeah.
Otherwise, our streets and our parks and our transit system will continue to deteriorate.
Daniel Tate, I have seen that there are 3 people running against Chris Moyes, and all 3 of them seem to be looking to not replace him, but recast him, because they all seem to have similar views to him. Are you going to be running against him? You're in his constituency. Are you, Daniel Tate, going to run against Chris Moyes?
I haven't made a decision yet, but this ward needs new leadership. That's truer words have never been spoken.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, one last thing before we take a break, and then you're going to stick around because we're going to take some calls.
Sure.
The next investigation I think Integrity TO's got to look into is, where did the money go that used to go into arresting these people, prosecuting these people, holding them in jail cells? We don't spend that money anymore because these things are not crimes. Where'd that money go? What are we spending that money on?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, our police budget is $1.7 billion.
Yeah.
$1.7 billion.
And
where is the money going?
Think about how many crimes, it used to be crimes, are no longer crimes. So what are we doing with that money? So that money went somewhere, and it certainly didn't go into rehab for these people. That's my question.
Yep. Yeah, I'm in full agreement. Look, I've seen 2 crimes already today.
What used
just
to be
on
crimes?
the way here, I saw somebody smoking meth right on the street.
Yeah.
That's not a crime anymore.
Well, that's my point.
Well, maybe it should be.
That's a Tuesday.
Because you know what? Like, if that person can get into the system, whether it's jail or whether a judge says, you know what, if you're open to rehab, you won't go to jail. We'll send you to rehab. We can save a life that way.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's a war now. It is a war. It is a cultural war between those who want to see these people who are burdened by so much. They don't care if they live or die. They don't care. I care. I know you care. A lot of us care. And this idea that it's a toxicity issue and not a drug issue, these people have blood on their hands, and more people will die because of them. And that's really what's at stake here. And when I saw that acknowledgement, I realized, my goodness, they are trying to rewrite reality so that they can avoid responsibility. And it's up to the voters in October to hold them to account for the death and destruction and pain that has been caused on their watch and because of their decisions. 870-6400 or 1-888-225-TALK. We want to hear from you. We're talking issues at City Council. We've got Integrity TO's Daniel Tate. And look, the issue is not just at the mayor's office, Daniel. It's a wholesale issue with City Council. And we got an example here of what happened at Pickering City Council, where I believe one of the people was standing up for the Canadian flag. Let's listen to how this ends, and the person who makes a comment about standing up for the Canadian flag. This woman's an idiot. She's an idiot. The flag is from the 60s. Like, what does that have to do with the colonial experience? Canada was born, not the 1860s when Canada was born, 100 years later. This is a woman who had an immediate, reflexive, woke, trying to show how progressive she is by, I'm white and I can appreciate that that's a colonial white settler thing. Like, people like that, they're everywhere. They're everywhere because the progressives realize they can't win anywhere else but locally. So they've been infiltrating city councils across the country.
Anybody who denigrates Canada or the Canadian flag should not be in politics, should not be in that position. Yeah. We need people of sound mind who are patriots, who love our country. That's why last year I had to write Free John on the wooden coffin outside of Queen's Park, because I was disgusted that Johnny MacDonald was in a box.
And look, supporting Sir John A., Daniel, that does not mean you think that he was perfect. And loving this country doesn't mean you believe there never have been any mistakes. But these people believe that the entire experiment, the great Canadian experiment, has been a wash, and we need to take it down. We need to, demolish it from the inside. I don't know what they want to replace Canada with, but I know they think the whole thing's got to go.
Yeah, it's mind rot on steroids. Yeah. It's just like, if you have this thought, you need to do a lot of soul searching. You need to listen to the Ben Mulroney Show every day and deprogram yourself.
416-870-6400 or 1-888-225-TALK. We're talking City Council. Look, now that the mayor has jumped in, there's a real counterpoint to Brad Bradford. And again, like, you can some I see people saying, "Oh, Brad Bradford, he's not my guy." Well, ask yourself, what's the alternative? Because the only alternative at this point, unless somebody else comes in and shows that they can take on Olivia Chow, it's one or the other. It's one or the other. And if you're not going to back an imperfect candidate, get ready for 4 more years of what we've been witnessing. And I like Brad. I like his vision. I like the people he's bringing together in his coalition, and I like the fact that he can, I like that he is the tonic that we need. And I also don't mind the fact that he doesn't mind being the bad guy.
Yeah, I like Brad, and he doesn't have a perfect voting record, but I've watched him in depth for the last couple of years, and he's a voice of reason and a voice of common sense at City Hall for the most part. But one thing people shouldn't forget is this is not just about the mayor's race.
No.
We got 25 council races,
Yeah.
and that's really where the power and the decision making and the future of our city is.
Yeah.
It's with those 25 councillors.
We've got Lauren on the line. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Sorry about that, Katya.
Oh, we lost Lauren.
What do you have to say?
My goodness, I think she must have gotten a little scared. But yeah, we've got 25 other races that we got to pay attention to, and like Chris Moyes is not alone. There are people out there who voted. Now, how many people voted in favor of paying his legal bill?
At City Council,
Yeah.
it was 16-6 in favor of paying 55% of his egregious $30,000 legal bill.
Yeah, that's freaking nuts.
After he was found in violation of the integrity code of conduct.
There is nothing about that.
We shouldn't have paid a penny.
Nothing about it. Nothing. Why? What, like,
I know.
did you have a lawyer?
Don't say bullshit, but
I was just asking him a budget question. He started hurling insults
But you-
at me, and then he goes and hires Airden Burles, who's one of the most prestigious law firms in Canada,
But see, so
which he didn't even have to do.
So this is the thing that I say. There's a ton of
Katya's on
yes.
fire.
I will get to Katya in 1 second. There's the
already-
the issue with the self-righteous progressives. They believe that their mission is so high and mighty. It is so important.
what's your
The
name?
job that they are doing is so above everything else. It's so vital that they cannot be held to the rules that they want us to live by. So of course he needs to hire a lawyer that he can't personally afford. Of course he does, because his job is that important. He's fighting white supremacists. I've got one in my midst. This is more important than just being a city councilor. He's a hero for the people, and because of that, he needs to hire the most expensive lawyers, and we should be so happy to pay that bill. That's how he sees it. That's how all of them see it, and that's why we need to give him a reality check. Katya, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the call, Darshan. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi,
I'm already show. Who's this?
welcome. Well,
Hello. All right, Chris. What do you think about this acknowledgement? Sure.
yeah, but you've got a personal
wanna say?
reason to be offended by the drug toxicity acknowledgement.
Crisis acknowledgement.
Yeah. Well, it's called presentism, right?
Your brother-in-law died though.
Yeah.
Didn't he? He died of a fentanyl overdose.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry. Yeah, and it was a and did you all?
Why
Did,
not? It's
and-
gonna be more.
yeah.
The president.
but I don't mean to be cheeky here,
We
Katya.
live
But
in that
at any point, did you
right,
say to
here,
yourself,
let me put you on hold,
"My
please.
goodness, if only he had the good fentanyl, not the toxic fentanyl." Yeah. Yeah, no, of course. I mean, that's the nonsense. Thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate it. Let's take a Chris. Chris, we're talking Sir John A. now, aren't we? Hey. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. And look, the fact is, a lot of these guys, what they want to do, as they did it with Ryerson, and they did it with Dundas, is they look at history through a keyhole, and they pick the worst thing that person said, and they zoom out and they make their entire life about that. They dehumanize them. They turn them into a slogan, and that is not an acknowledgement of history. That is misinformation. It is lies. And if any of us, including if Chris Moyes were defined by the worst thing he's ever said, his family wouldn't recognize him. His family wouldn't recognize him, and we'd probably arrest him, right? And I could say the same thing about me. If I were judged by the worst thing I ever did or said, I wouldn't have a job. My family would leave me, and I would be tarred and feathered in the public square. That is not how we're supposed to do things, and certainly not with people who help build this country.
I'd still hang out with you.
Yeah, but that's because you're gross. But Daniel, like these people who are in charge of these renamings, they don't care about history.
These people were elected to pick up the garbage on time,
Yeah.
and to make sure we have great roads that we can drive on or bike on or whatever. They weren't elected to do this kind of stuff, this sort of like cultural reprogramming or erasure. We don't want that. That's not that's not the deal.
Yeah, but
so
I also
stop
wonder,
it.
And who are you to make these changes? I mean, I don't know what Chris Moyes' background is. I just know he's not a historian. I know that. And I know that he can't tell the difference between fair criticism and real white supremacy. So his ethical sort of roadmap is in question.
It's so crazy. At the city council debate last week about the legal fees, Councillor James Pasternak asked the question, if Chris Moyes just apologized, couldn't we avoided this whole debacle?
Yeah.
And Nunziata ruled him out of order with that question.
Oh my God, really?
And that's actually the correct question.
This city
A
council...
simple apology, and I would have said, apology accepted.
But this city council thinks they are way too comfortable. If they think that a question like that is out of order...
Well, if you were in office for 23, 26, 38 years like Nunziata, you'd probably feel pretty comfortable too.
Yeah, but I think Karen Stintz is right. We got a wholesale look at a lot of these guys and ask them, have they passed their point of their best before date? Someone got to go. Gotta go. If only for new blood. Look, my sister left politics after 8 years because she did everything she wanted to do. And at some point, if you've tried everything you want to try, and you've succeeded and you've failed, it's time to let somebody else have a kick at the can.
So I wrote an article on Substack a couple weeks ago about term limits.
Yeah.
8 city councillors have a total of 183 years in city council.
That's older than Canada.
Older than Canada.
Yeah. I've got time for one more call. Let's take Grace. Grace, welcome to the show. I'm good, thank you. What do you think of this conversation we're having? A lot of the money goes to Toronto. I mean, it depends. I mean, as they always say, like every level of government thinks they're the only level of government, but there's only one taxpayer. Oh, I don't know that there's anything we can do. Let's ask the watcher here. I mean, what can we do about that?
I mean, I feel like that ship has sailed for this chapter at least, but that's why voting is going to be so important in this upcoming election, because if we can get a new common sense, reasonable city council, then we can table new motions to put a stop to this kind of nonsense. That in the future, if a councillor acts incorrectly, violates the code of conduct, they're not going to be reimbursed for their legal fees. Like, we can make those changes, but it takes a new block of councillors.
And that's what's going to be vital, is getting people up who've never voted before. Because back in the day, you could comfortably think, okay, I'm not going to vote, but I'm going to trust that those who do vote are reasonable, and that the people they vote for are reasonable. That has been proven to be a fallacy. That unless people take an active role in picking their city councilors and voting for the reasonable choice, you're going to get the city council that we have. You are going to get left-wing reactionary ideologues who don't care about science and who would much rather talk about a drug toxicity crisis than a drug crisis. And they're more concerned with feathering their own nest and pet projects than helping us with the most basic services that they have failed at thus far. And I'll get off of my high horse. Grace, thank you for the call. And Daniel Tate, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ben. I just want to add one thing quickly.
Yeah.
Like, the best way to harness your anger at the state of the city is at the ballot box in October.
Bingo. Absolutely. All right, come back anytime, my friend.
Thanks.
And when we come back,